Hey, Joe Escobedo here, and on today's episode of the B2B Marketing Asia podcast, we'll be talking about how to start a personal brand in Southeast Asia. So stay tuned.
I think it would be good to share a little bit about why I started posting on LinkedIn. To be honest, I would say it's two. Number one, it's to connect with more people. And I think in Asia, people are always very suspicious. They're not sure whether you have a certain agenda and all of that. So I think sometimes when you post, it helps. People will look at your post. And to be honest, it has actually led to a lot of people DMing me and say, hey, Asher, I saw your post. I resonate with this. And I think it starts from there, right? Once people resonate with you, that's where you can have a further conversation. But I think the second reason was when I was in university, I always wanted to go into technology sales. I remember there was a period I was reading a lot of books. If some of you watch my videos, you would know I read most of the sales books. I was following LinkedIn sales leaders. But what I started to realize is that a lot of these people were from the US. Although what they said was true about sales, the foundation doesn't change, trying to find people's pain point. But I realized when I tried to find people in Southeast Asia who's talking about sales, I can't find it. People are not sharing as much. People are not talking about their experience as much. And that's probably a reason why we are probably Asians like us. We are probably a little bit more reserved. We have a lot of knowledge. A lot of people are really experienced, but they don't really post it out there. Um, and for someone like me who really wants to break in the industry, that was a little bit, I would say, saddening because I don't know who to reach out to. I don't know, or rather, there just isn't content out there for me to understand more about tech sales in the context of Southeast Asia. I just wanted to share with people out there my experience. If you look at all my posts, it's a lot on sharing. It's a lot on sharing my personal experiences. I don't really teach. I don't really say, hey, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. And the whole idea is to get discussions going. I had many times when I share certain experiences with a particular prospect or something, and I had someone just DM me 2 hours later and say, hey, Asher, I saw this on my feed. I wanted to connect with you because I'm in the exact same shoes as you. And that's how you get a lot of conversations going. So I think the purpose is important. I didn't start posting because I wanted more recruiters to notice me. I didn't start posting because I wanted to be more famous. And the first few posts are always hard because you're not sure what people will think and all that. But I think as you start posting a lot more, you actually become more comfortable. And when you get validation from people saying that, hey, I really resonate with that post, I think it's a good feeling. And that encourages you to keep sharing more because you know that there may be people that benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, how did you get the courage to even post your first post on LinkedIn?
Do you know, to be honest, I don't think there's, I don't think there's a secret formula. I think what Nike, like you say, right, just do it. Your first post will never be perfect. In fact, I don't really recall my first post about sales. I don't really, I can't really recall what it was exactly, but what I knew was I needed to get started. I listened to podcasts before that, people talking about how they started their LinkedIn, journey and all, and they all say the same thing. Even if you think about content creators, even someone like you, Joe, I'm sure you can't, I'm sure if you look at your first video, you may cringe at yourself. You may think like, did I really post that? But I think that was the first step that got you to become better and better. So no secret formula. I think just think about your day, just think about your thoughts, and you don't have to be too philosophical about it. It can be as simple as, hey, today I talked to a prospect. I talked to a prospect from India during the COVID period. I heard from them the COVID situation that really touched me. Hey, today we were talking about this particular stuff, about life, and that really got me thinking. Sometimes it's just about getting your thoughts out there because you never know. Whatever you share may really resonate with some people.
Yeah, and I think it's really good advice because a lot of times younger professionals, maybe they just graduated or they're new to their job and they really struggle with they say, look, I don't have enough experience. I don't know what to post about. So I like your point about sharing your experience because I think whether you are a CEO of a Fortune 500 company or you are a fresh graduate, you have some experience and you have a different point of view. And I think now more than ever, a lot of people are very hungry in terms of what the young professionals like yourself are thinking because you see the rise of TikTok and other platforms like that, which you guys are obviously more comfortable than that than say the more gray haired folks like like myself. So I think there's this, concept of that as well as this concept of reverse mentoring, which has become very popular recently. So younger professionals like yourself teaching some of the old dogs like me new things. Would you say that's the same for other young professionals that are looking to share their thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you completely because I think graduates like us, people who are still in university, we fall into the trap of thinking we need to post all the great achievements. We need to post all our internship achievements. We need to show our results. We need to show that, hey, we did well for this. It becomes a highlight reel. We keep thinking that it's a highlight reel. Everything needs to be tip top. Everything you post got to be something that you did really greatly. And I think many of us fall into that trap because we think of LinkedIn as a place of branding. It is, but branding can come in many different forms. We feel like it's like our online resume. So we got to make sure that we post everything that shows our achievements, shows how great we are. That could work for some people, and I think that goes back then to your purpose. My purpose of posting was because I don't treat LinkedIn just as a online resume. I treat it also as a place for me to connect with different people. And when you're talking about humans to humans connection, people don't really care so much about your achievements to a certain extent. I think what is most important again, especially in Asian context, you want to make sure you are authentic, you are real. And when you're talking about humans to humans connection, that is what's most important to everyone. They want to make sure that if they decide to connect with you, they decide to have a chat with you. Yeah, they want to make sure that you are someone real. You're someone that they can have a good conversation with. I'll actually share my experience, right? Recently, I met someone from HubSpot. I met her, I have had a chat with her, and she actually told me, say, hey, Asher, she's a lady, and she said, hey, Asher, normally I would just chat with people over LinkedIn, maybe have a Zoom chat. I wouldn't really meet people for coffee for the first time that we are meeting. No, I wouldn't do that. That is out of my comfort zone, or that is something that I don't really do. But what made her change her mind was because she saw my videos. She saw my posting. She saw that I'm Singaporean just like her. I'm someone that she can relate to, someone that shares the same experience with her. And she said, yeah, because of that, yeah, she doesn't mind meeting me, in person for coffee. And that really spoke to me, right? Because again, that goes back to be authentic, being genuine. I didn't post sales tips. I didn't post sales advice. I didn't post a lot of my achievements. Sometimes I do, but it really goes back to human connection. When people look at your profile, what do they think of you? Do they just think of you as someone with a lot of achievements, or do they feel like you are a human? You are someone that has a life. You are someone that has struggles. You are someone that has a story. I think that's all important factors to see whether um, someone wants to connect with you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think it'd be another good point in terms of the similarities between different people. Now, obviously, other young Singaporeans are going to resonate with you immediately because maybe they have a similar background or they can just relate to you. I've heard this time and time again. Someone was talking about on the last episode, someone who is from an Indian background. So the bulk of his audience was from India and other parts of the world who were basically Indian background. So that was something I thought that was quite interesting is that this concept of mirroring and really understanding people better because you come from maybe a similar background or a similar country. So I thought that was a
Yep.
good point. And to your point about, yeah, sharing accomplishments, I think at the end of the day, no one really cares about anyone's accomplishments. Yes, you want an award. Yes, you want this new client. I think no one really cares except for you. So I think that is one of the big mistakes I see many companies and people make is just shouting about themselves and saying, "Look how great I am." So I think you bring up a good point of sharing your experiences. I'd love to hear a bit more because you have people actually DMing you now and saying that resonate with you. What are some of the content that you think is best resonating with your audience and why?
But to be honest, the best content was actually the videos I started putting out. And I think for the rest of people out there, if you look at my profile, you may see that, hey, I have a few videos coming out. I have some videos that's in progress as well that I want to put out. But to be honest, it was a long time. I started posting probably last year. So if you really count it, it probably took me really 1 year plus to really start to have the courage to go to the next step and start posting videos. I think video works really well because it really shows who you truly are. You're not hiding behind text. You're not hiding behind words. For my video, that actually got me the most engagement. Firstly, not on the comments, on the likes, but that also got a lot of people DMing me to say, hey, Asher, love that point that you shared. Exactly. I'm in sales as well. That was, and my niche is being in tech sales, trying to talk about being a young professional. That's my niche. You want to have a chat with you, or maybe just want to say good job to you. Are really those content that is authentic. And then again, if you look at all my videos, I don't share tips. I don't say that, hey, this is what you should do. I don't come in as authority. I come in as someone who is sharing my observations. sharing my experience and trying to also let everyone, asking everyone in the video, say, hey, if you have any other thoughts, share below. And when I see those comments sharing their thoughts, I think that is probably more exciting or more satisfying than the likes I get. The likes to me doesn't matter. It's about if I can create a discussions, having people resonate with me and talking about this same stuff. That's all I really ask for most of the time. And that's really the plan moving forward, trying to build a community of tech salespeople, because that is something that is missing in Southeast Asia. We are not taught that in university. Many of us are going to it without really knowing it. Many of us don't choose sales as a career. We don't learn sales in university. And if I can provide an avenue for people to just get a little bit more context, understand a little bit more about what this career provides. And I'm not an expert. I've not been in sales I'm not in sales for 20 years. And that is why I share my observations. And when other people who are more senior, they share their experiences, that's where it becomes really fruitful for everyone. Everybody stands to benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. So as an audience, I can maybe chip in on one video that really resonated with me. I think we talk about some of the things that didn't work for you. Now, obviously, you're in B2B tech sales, and being in sales in general is very tough. And so you mentioned something, I think it was either the format, and then we had a conversation afterwards. I think you're talking about video messages. Do they work? They don't work. You didn't have any reactions. You even broke it down like, I've sent out this many, I've gotten this response, and this so on. So I think that way of just breaking it down based on, once again, your experience of trying something, which in this case was video message outreach, and then literally sharing your results. I think that was something that resonated with me, because I think I messaged you in the comments and I said, hey, look, I've had a similar situation where, you know what, I've tried it out, hadn't had great luck. And so I think that actually kickstarted this whole conversation. Is I saw a video
Yep.
and I said, hey, this is quite interesting. Want to find out more about this person. So yeah, definitely I think that helped me connect with you.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I like to, my niche, of course, is tech sales, is young professionals. But at the same time, I always say that, hey, what I want to do is focus on Southeast Asia, because that was also something I experienced. I read so many books from US sales leaders and everything. But when I started doing prospecting in Southeast Asia, I realized things are, I wouldn't say completely different, but 80% of the time, things are different. You got to do it, approach it in a different way. And these are things that I realized, and you share with me, right? You said, don't feel like you have nothing valuable to offer. Don't keep so many things to yourself. Share it with the world, share it with your connection, share it with people. You never know who is looking out for this kind of information. And I think sometimes small encouragement like this also helps as well. It helps you to keep moving and just feel encouraged to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely relate. I was in a similar situation a few years back. Even though I'm Caucasian, I am very shy. I'm an introvert, and I dragged my feet for years when it came to putting out video. And I finally put out the first one, and same thing. There's a very positive response, and I haven't stopped since. But yeah, it's quite daunting. And even I met with an executive yesterday, and we were talking about how they don't feel comfortable watching themselves or listening to themselves on video. And I think that is something that doesn't matter if you're a fresh graduate or you're a CEO. I think it's really tough to put yourself on video. Like I said, kudos to you, because there's not many people doing it and doing it on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that you're doing, yeah, quite well.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it, Joe. But I guess one thing I would share as well to people is, at the end of the day, I guess at the end of the day, at least for me, this is a side thing that I'm doing. It's not like a job. If you look at my activity for the previous month, I haven't been as active as compared to the other months. And sometimes in life, you may need some time. I think sometimes mental health is important as well. Don't feel like there's a need for you to always post. I know there are people out there that say, you got to post every single day. You got to make sure you're consistent. You got to build a brand and everything. But for me, I think at the end of the day, you got to also see you yourself, what are you comfortable with? Sometimes when I feel that I really need time off, I need to disconnect from some things. I need more rest time, need more me time. Uh, to me, that's fine, because this is not like my core business. When it becomes a core business, maybe that's a different question. But I think that's why it's important to also take note of that. We don't have to always hustle. I know when I first started working, it was also always about the hustle mindset and all that, trying to do everything possible. But I'm also starting to realize 1 year into my career that mental health is really important. You got to also make sure that your flow is right. You got to make sure that emotionally, mentally, you are well rested. And if you feel like you got to stop certain things, and that could be posting videos, posting LinkedIn. That could be not doing certain things on the site for a period. I think those are the intangible benefits that could help you in the long run. So that's something that I will share as a personal experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it's not your full-time job. You do have a full-time job in sales. So I'm curious, the videos you posted, the content you put out on LinkedIn, has it had an impact on your day-to-day role, which is your sales job?
Let's say for video creation or for a content creation, I always do it after work. You got to do it after work. Time management is one thing, you don't want to affect your work, but another thing is you got to have that space to think. Sometimes putting a post out there or putting a video out there, you got to give yourself time and space to think about what are the words you want to say, what is the type of content, how do you want to structure it. And if you try to squeeze it during work time, you have emails coming in, you have people trying to talk to you, it's not going to be productive. There's no point to do it. So you also want to make sure you're in a good state of mind. Sometimes I do it on the weekends when I'm a little bit more free and ideas flow a little bit easier. So I think it's important.
But I love your point about just sharing your experiences, sharing what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and building that community. Because to your point, yes, I've been doing it for many years, and it's basically how I've built the business up. I don't really do any sales outreach and things like that. It's all to the content I create and, trying to facilitate someone's relationships. And I think to your point, if you stick at it, you are going to be miles ahead of anyone else because you're starting much younger than I did. That's one. And two, you're going about it in the right way where many people are thinking about it from their own point of view. What can I sell to this person? What kind of video can I put out that's going to get me tons of money coming in? And it doesn't work. I've seen it many times. It just doesn't work. So I think the way you're going about it, you're
Yeah.
right. And it will reap benefits down the road for sure.
Yeah, and people can see and smell it if you are not genuine. We all can, right? No, we all have been approached by salespeople before. We have been approached by people trying to get us to do something and they have their own agenda. We can sense those kind of things. And if that's your core reason, people can see it straight away. And you want to make sure that you don't do just for that. That could be a good side effect, but it always comes back to something more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Asher, one quick final thought from you. What's one tip you would give fellow young professionals who are looking to build their personal brand?
Yeah. Again, going back to the quote, just do it. Find something that you are passionate about. It doesn't even have to do with your job. I was fortunate enough to find something to post about, and that's the job that I'm doing. But I've seen my friends who are doing operations, who are doing software engineering, whatever that may be, but they are posting about their hobbies on the site. They're posting about things like mental health. These are things that make you more real as a person, make you more genuine. So start to ask yourself, hey, what are you passionate about? What is something that you do? People have been telling you this is something that you are known for. People associate this particular thing with you. What is that thing? And you got to start with that because that is something real. And then you start to see, hey, what works? And then you start to find a niche. Got to always find a niche. I think there are people out there who try to cater to too large of an audience. They want to get the big fishes, want to get the whole ocean too fast. But I think having a niche also starts to help you, build from a small community, connect more people, and then it may go to other places. You never know. Again, just do it. Find what interests you. Find what makes you excited. Start sharing your own personal thoughts, and just keep going. I would say simple tips.
There we go. I love it. And guys, thank you so much for watching and listening to today's episode. It really means the world to me. If you enjoyed today's episode, which I'm sure you did, please feel free to subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you guys soon in the next episode.